The 19th of May, 1944. The Solomon Sea heaves under a bruised morning sky. Rain squalls lash a gray horizon. Inside the steel hull of the destroyer escort USS England, every bulkhead hums with tension. In the Combat Information Center, the green glow of radar scopes and the soft click of headphones mark the only sounds besides the rumble of diesels. The crew waits, every man knowing that somewhere out there, hidden beneath thousands of feet of cold black water, a Japanese submarine is watching. Hundreds of miles away, Admiral Soemu Toyoda, commander of Japan's combined fleet, believes his plan is airtight. From Truk Island in the Carolines to waters west of Manus Island, he has stationed a line of submarines, I-16, RO-104, RO-105, RO-106, RO-108, RO-116, and RO-117, to spot and report any American invasion force. This scouting line is his eyes and ears, the key to striking first when the United States makes its next move. But on this wet May morning, Toyoda's careful design is about to unravel. In the space of 12 astonishing days, England, a single modest escort ship, armed with a radical new weapon called the Hedgehog, will sink 6 of those submarines. The feat will blind the Japanese, misdirect their main fleet, and open the path for the decisive U.S. assault on the Marianas Saipan, Tinian, and Guam. No other warship in history will match this record. This is the story of how innovative technology, relentless training, and the cold courage of a young crew turned a small ship into the deadliest submarine hunter of World War II. By mid-1944, the Pacific War was entering its most critical phase. In the Southwest, General Douglas MacArthur has carved a chain of Allied beachheads along New Guinea's northern coast. In the Central Pacific, Admiral Chester Nimitz is striking westward through the Marshall Islands. To the Japanese High Command, the next American thrust could come from either direction. The stakes are nothing less than the survival of Japan's far-flung empire. Admiral Toyoda responds with a bold deployment. He concentrates his surface fleet at Tawi-Tawi, a sheltered anchorage in the southern Philippines, from which he can move quickly north or east. Yet even a powerful fleet is blind without early warning. Japan's solution is the submarine scouting line, 7 long-range submarines stretched like beads on a string across hundreds of miles of open ocean. Their mission is simple: detect an American invasion force early enough for Toyoda to mass his fleet at the decisive point. Each of these submarines is a technical achievement in its own right. The large I-class boats, like I-16, can carry supplies or even midget submarines. The smaller RO-class boats are fast and agile, ideal for reconnaissance and quick attacks, but they are also vulnerable. Their heavy batteries limit submerged endurance to hours, and their sonar and radar lag behind American technology. They must often surface at night to recharge, exposing them to radar detection and air patrols. The Allied countermove is equally sophisticated. American codebreakers have already penetrated many Japanese naval ciphers, giving a broad sense of enemy intentions. Long-range PBY Catalina and B-24 Liberator patrol aircraft sweep the seas, pushing subs underwater where they move slowly. And now a new generation of small, fast destroyer escorts built in American shipyards in staggering numbers adds a lethal dimension. These DEs carry advanced sonar, quick-firing guns, and above all, the Hedgehog, a forward-throwing weapon that fires 24 small contact bombs in a tight pattern. Unlike traditional depth charges, which explode at a preset depth and often merely buffet a submarine, Hedgehog bombs detonate only when they hit a hull. If there is no explosion, the target is not there, allowing the escort to adjust instantly and attack again. Into this evolving chess match steams the USS England, a 306-foot Buckley-class destroyer escort newly arrived in the Solomons. Her crew of young sailors, most barely in their 20s, has trained for months in sonar tracking and Hedgehog firing drills. They do not know it yet, but the next 12 days will make their ship a legend. Long before England left port, the secret to her coming success had already taken shape across the Atlantic. In 1940, as German U-boats ravaged convoys in the North Atlantic, Commander Charles Goodeve of Britain's experimental Department of Miscellaneous Weapons Development posed a radical question. Why drop explosives behind a ship when the submarine is ahead of you? The answer was the Hedgehog, a simple but revolutionary weapon. It mounted 24 stubby, 65-pound bombs each shaped like an oversized hand grenade in a bristling rack that did indeed look like the back of a porcupine. When the firing key was pressed, a quick series of pneumatic hisses launched the entire pattern up and out, 2 football fields forward of the ship, raining down in a circular spread nearly 150 feet across. The genius lay in its fusing. Unlike conventional depth charges that exploded at a preset depth and often only rattled the target, Hedgehog bombs detonated solely on impact. No explosion meant no hit, instantly telling the crew whether to fire again. It was faster, deadlier, and required less guesswork than anything that had come before. The Royal Navy proved its worth against U-boats in 1941 and 1942. By 1943, American officers, including Captain Paul Hammond, a driving force in U.S. anti-submarine warfare, worked side by side with British engineers to adapt the design for the Pacific. New Buckley and Cannon-class destroyer escorts rolled out of U.S. yards equipped with sonar, radar, and these forward-firing mortars. Among them was the USS England, commissioned only months earlier but drilled hard in sonar plotting and rapid Hedgehog reloads. Every man in England knew that success in battle would depend on seconds. The sonar operator's ability to hold contact, the fire control team's skill in setting the spread, and the captain's nerve to keep the ship on a precise course while an unseen enemy tried to slip beneath. When England departed the Solomon Islands in May 1944 to join Escort Division 39, she carried not just a new weapon, but a new doctrine: relentless, repeated attacks until the submarine was gone. Within days, that doctrine would be tested in a campaign still unequaled in naval history. May 19, 1944, 1 p.m. A sharp sonar ping cuts through the Combat Information Center. England has a contact 100 feet below, the Japanese supply submarine I-16, racing south from Truk to Bougainville. Lieutenant Commander Walton B. Pendleton swings his ship hard to starboard. Depth charge men stand by, but Hedgehogs are the weapon of choice. 4 times, the submarine evades by turning sharply into the ship's wake, using the turbulence to confuse sonar. On the 5th run, Pendleton keeps his course steady. Fire Hedgehogs. 24 steel cylinders streak out and arc into the sea. 12 seconds later, 4 sudden explosions echo up through the hull. A moment's silence, then a deafening underwater detonation heaves England bodily upward. Men tumble across steel decks. Some believe they've been torpedoed. Instead, the enemy is finished. Moments later, oil and wreckage, rubber rice sacks, splintered furniture, bits of cork insulation rise to the surface. The first link in Toyoda's scouting line is gone. Admiral William F. Halsey, commander of the U.S. Third Fleet, quickly grasps the opportunity. If one submarine is here, more will follow. He orders Escort Division 39, England, George, and Raby to sweep west along the submarine picket. In the small hours of May 22, radar on George shows a distant surface blip. Searchlights snap on. A shadowed conning tower plunges beneath the waves. George fires the first Hedgehog pattern no contact. England races in. At 4:45 a.m., 3 sharp explosions thunder 240 feet down. A moment later, a far greater concussion, likely the submarine's own warhead magazine, rolls through the sea. The Japanese boat RO-106 and all hands are gone. 2 kills in 4 days. Pendleton signals Halsey, contact destroyed, continuing patrol. The next morning, May 23, heavy clouds and a fathometer reading of 3,300 feet made sonar work delicate. At 6:10 a.m., Raby reports a contact 4 miles out. George attacks repeatedly, launching 5 full Hedgehog spreads without a single detonation. Pendleton brings England onto the track. The first salvo misses. The second hits home. Approximately 10 projectiles strike RO-104, and seconds later, a powerful internal blast sends cork insulation and deck planking racing to the surface. 3 submarines have now been destroyed in less than a week. Shortly after midnight, May 24, George's radar flashes again another submarine. England races to intercept, sonar finding RO-116 at 165 feet. Pendleton orders a full 24-round Hedgehog pattern. 3 detonations register, then silence. No geysering water, No secondary blast, just an expanding sheen of oil and floating shards of planking. In the still darkness, the crew realizes the enemy has been mortally wounded, slipping into the black depths before a final explosion can escape the hull. 4 submarines down in 6 days. Each kill sharpens the crew's skill and deepens the pressure. Every successful attack proves there must be more subs still watching. By May 26, England and her sister ships are running low on fuel, and Hedgehog reloads and turns toward Seidler Harbor, Manus Island. But war rarely allows safe passage. At 11 p.m., radar picks up a new surface echo RO-108. The Japanese sub dives quickly, but England's sonar is relentless. Within minutes, Pendleton launches another perfect salvo. Multiple sharp concussions erupt. Dawn reveals a rising froth of oil and twisted wreckage. The weary sailors have scored a 5th confirmed kill even as their bunkers and magazines run dry. Rearmed and joined by the destroyer Hazelwood and the escort Spangler, the division heads out again. Their last opponent, RO-105, proves far craftier than the others. On May 30, the sub plays a grueling day-long game of hide-and-seek, diving deep and slipping through thermal layers to confuse sonar. Hedgehog patterns from George, Raby, and Spangler all miss. Just before dawn on May 31, George regains contact. Pendleton requests one last attack run before Japanese aircraft arrive. At 7:30 a.m., England locks on at 1,650 yards and fires. 2 Hedgehog bombs strike home. A moment later, a titanic explosion lifts the ship's stern clear of the water. When the sea calms, oil, splintered planks, cork insulation, and even a single Japanese chopstick float on the surface. In 12 relentless days, the USS England has sunk 6 submarines: I-16, RO-106, RO-104, RO-116, RO-108, and RO-105, an unmatched record in the history of naval warfare. Admiral Soemu Toyoda now faces a disaster he never anticipated. The submarine picket line designed to warn of Allied moves has been shattered. Radio silence from his lost boats and intelligence of massive American activity at Manus convinces him the next U.S. strike will come at Palau. He commits his main fleet accordingly. 2 weeks later, American forces landed instead in the Marianas, Saipan, Tinian, and Guam, cutting vital links between Japan and its southern resources. By the time Toyoda realizes the miscalculation, the battle for the Marianas is already lost. The success of England and the Hedgehog ripples far beyond a single campaign. It demonstrates that small, economical ships armed with forward-firing mortars and guided by precise sonar can annihilate an enemy submarine force and reshape grand strategy. The Imperial Japanese Navy, already short of fuel and trained crews, never recovers its undersea strength. For its unprecedented performance, USS England received the Presidential Unit Citation, while her officers and crew earned individual commendations for extraordinary heroism. 19 U.S. destroyer escorts would ultimately earn that same high honor, but none matched England's concentrated triumph. The Hedgehog itself became standard equipment across the fleet and remained in service into the Cold War, influencing the design of a head-throwing weapon such as Squid and Limbo used by NATO navies. Naval historians still point to May 1944 as proof that technological innovation, paired with relentless training and disciplined execution, can change the course of a global conflict. Today, exhibits and memorials commemorate England's feat. Yet perhaps the ship's greatest legacy is doctrinal. Modern anti-submarine warfare, from acoustic torpedoes to rocket-delivered depth charges, traces a direct line back to the forward-firing concept proven in those 12 furious days. From the gray dawn of May 19, 1944, to the final thunderclap of May 31, the USS England and her crew turned a quiet weapon into a strategic hammer. By destroying 6 submarines in less than 2 weeks, they blinded a fleet, redirected an empire's plans, and ensured that the next phase of the Pacific War unfolded on American terms. In the annals of naval warfare, no single ship has ever matched that record. The sound of those sonar pings and the hard metallic crack of the Hedgehog remain, even decades later, a testament to innovation, discipline, and the courage of ordinary sailors who achieved the extraordinary.